We are back. This time we're talking touchdowns, and we have our guy Titletown with us. Tyler and I just finished the NBA rundown. If you're into betting NBA, that is on the Run Pure Sports YouTube channel. But we've shifted our focus now, Title. We're going to talk some NFL. How did Thanksgiving and Sunday treat you? What were your overall thoughts on this game before we break them down one by one?
Thanksgiving was great. I don't think I could have had a better Thursday. I pretty much couldn't find anything I touched was a winner, it felt like. And yesterday was, I wouldn't say the complete opposite, but it was definitely the opposite. Not nearly as good. Needed Mark Andrews to catch that touchdown. Probably would have been up a little, broke even, something around there. Instead, he drops it 2 weeks in a row. Foster Moreau, Mark Andrews. Don't know what's going on with these Stonehand tight ends that I roster, but Thursday was great. Thanksgiving, long weekend, NBA in action today, football in action. There's no complaints over here.
Yeah, I'm wondering, because I felt like a little bit of my preparation was hampered by, having to deal with family commitments. And of course, that's great. And at the end of the day, that's what really matters. But I'm wondering, I bet you a lot of the football players felt the same way, especially some of the veterans, right? The 22-year-olds, probably not a big deal. But the ones with 3 kids, big families, I wonder how much that affected preparation. So I expect this week, from my perspective, and of course, these teams' perspective, to be a little better. Tyler, before we go game by game, what was your main takeaway from yesterday?
Man, I mean, if Miami's only going to play half of football, that's going to come back to bite them in the ass against a good team because they almost let Houston creep back into that game. And I don't think even if they were like, oh, they cut it to a touchdown, put Tua back in, we'll be all right. I think the momentum had completely flipped at that point. They couldn't run the ball whatsoever once they lost that lineman. If this team's going to play like this, especially after losing that lineman, I think we got to put a hefty bet on San Fran this week because that pass rush and that defense might be all over Tua if Armstead's out.
Yeah, and of course, the San Francisco defense did look good, but that's not the same style offense. Let's go game by game. If you're new to the show, what we do is we just kind of review our thoughts. I'll kind of give you a preview of how Tyler and I are going to adjust our power rankings after what we saw yesterday, if at all. And then, of course, we will break down the Monday night game tonight. Tyler will give out a captain. Tyler will give his thoughts on roster construction. And, of course, we will give out props for the side, total, and best bets. I actually think the Commanders are worth talking about this week, Tyler. We've been skipping over them, but now they're 7-5. Any other quarterback might have lost that game, right? I mean, you guys back on Jimmy Garoppolo. What's up with Mariota? Now that's a bad quarterback right there.
Did you see how the game ended?
Yeah, with the penalty on the kick.
No, the picked interception in the end zone that he threw and it got tipped by his receiver, and then
they had a chance to get it back, and they roughed the kicker. They even were going to give him another chance, and they roughed the kicker. But anyways, the Commanders are worth talking about now. Title, they're 7-5. Hey, at least they get the win, and that's all that matters really in the NFL. What did you take away? And can this team actually make the playoffs after we thought they might have been a top pick in the draft?
No, I think they can make the playoffs. I mean, they got Chase Young returning pretty soon. They're getting healthier. They go by their defense. They have Brian Robinson, Gibson. You run the football. You play good defense. You slow the game down. Got the receiver in Terry. It really all comes down to Heineke. I mean, the team loves them. They play for him. They fight for him. Brings the energy to the stadium. I mean, I'm not overreacting from this win. I don't think the Falcons are very good at all. But as far as the Commanders, yeah, I mean, you've seen the past couple of weeks, this football team, they just look like a new team since Heineke took over. They have that it factor. I mean, yeah, I think they can make the playoffs.
I mean, Tyler, we've been kind of reticent to move up Washington in our standings, but I think the time has come. I think we're going to have to move them up in the power rankings. Are you going to agree with me there, or are you going to get some pushback here when I'm trying to bump them up 10 spots? I mean, we have them in their bottom 5 right now.
I 100% agree. They got to come up. I mean, and they're probably definitely going to make the playoffs the more you look at this playoff picture, unless Seattle makes a run, because the teams on the outside looking in. Seattle is 6-5, Atlanta 5-7, Detroit 4-7, Packers 4-8. I don't think any of those teams end up threatening for a spot. Maybe Detroit or Green Bay makes a run late. I think Seattle's going the other direction now. Washington is already in right now. They would be the 7 seed. I think they hold that 7 seed for the rest of the year and possibly move up a spot if the Giants start to fall off a little bit. So I think they're definitely in the playoffs. I think this is going to be the division that puts 4 teams in.
Title, who's better, the Giants or the Commanders?
Giants. Ooh.
Good question, huh?
This is a good question.
At the moment, I'm taking the Commanders.
The defense, yeah.
All right, the two teams on the Commanders. Interesting. What do you think of the coaching edge?
Got to go Giants. Got to go
Probably.
Giants.
I was gonna say probably Dable, but at the end of the day, like it's such a small sample. Like everyone's jumped to stroke him so fast, and rightfully so from what we've seen the Giants recent or like in the past decade and what we've seen this year. But I mean, people are calling what McVay a fake sharp like 2 years later, Staley early. So I'm definitely gonna say Dable, but no one really knows at the end of the day yet.
Yeah, I think Ron Rivera is a little underrated here in situations like this. He's a professional. He knows how to get the team prepared. And, hey, after he called out his quarterback, the team responded. So, obviously, something was going on there. We don't really care about talking about the Falcons. My only thing would be is why aren't they playing Desmond Ridder, but who cares?
That just lets you know how bad he is.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't a high pick, though, right? Third or fourth
I think he
round?
took him second round or third round, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
But I mean, the kid, right?
The Cincinnati kid, but they're taking one of the top guys on the board if they're there this year.
And at 5-7, I don't think they will be. They've won too many games. The Jacksonville Jaguars are now 4-7 after squeaking out a win against the Baltimore Ravens. Tyler, that looked like an easy Ravens cover early, but the Jaguars didn't give up after that one rough stretch. I mean, at least they're moving in the right direction. This team doesn't need another top draft pick. They need to get some wins under the belt. So that's a huge win for that organization. What were your takeaways? The Ravens, another tough loss here where they blow another lead. This has got to be – so for our regular season rankings, we're going to leave them where they are. But we really have to worry about this team going in the playoffs. Tyler, what were your thoughts on the Jaguars beating the Ravens?
Mark Andrews to catch the football, more money in my pocket. As far as the other side, Trevor Lawrence, I mean, what a drive. No timeouts. It was a minute 45.
Yeah.
Just took that team down. I mean, like it was nothing. Go for two, you get it there. I mean, just everything. Very, very impressive on the Trevor Lawrence side. On the Jag side, Zay Jones, one of the bigger stories probably this year that still no one's talking about. I mean, he has really balled out for them. Trevor Lawrence absolutely loves them. ETN left the game, but good news in Jacksonville. Looked like he got cleared to return. They held him out to be safe. Probably the smart way to go. I mean, just missed all of last year. You're not making the playoffs this year. You get banged up. Why would you bring him back to risk anything more? Still get the job done. As far as the Ravens side, yeah, I mean, man, they have to figure out the running back situation. They need a guy or at least a solid mix. They need to be comfortable running the football. That's their identity. At the end of the day, that's how Lamar, he has all these open holes to run. When you drop back, they stack the box. You got one-on-one matchups. Like it's a run-first team that opens up the rest of the offense. And they struggle to run the ball a little bit outside of Lamar. So that's the big thing. Obviously, they need to get Bateman back. They need weapons out there for for Lamar as well. But yeah, I mean, I need to see something from them to close the year because right now it's a tough loss. It's a loss that they've had this game in the book pretty much the whole game until they didn't when the buzzers went off. So it's a bad loss for them. I need to see them get a little healthier.
And it's like their third or fourth bad loss like this of the year. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, if it was a one-time thing, we just throw it out the window.
It's ironic that the team that's lost so many games going for two loses one when the other team goes for two and converts it. I think that's I don't want to say crazy, but I mean, it's just something that's ironic. The other thing too is like we talked about this before. It's almost like the meme that went around a while ago is Batman and Robin talking. Robin says something to Batman and Batman slaps him. And it's like, hey, there's this short road favorite, and you stop them right there, and you smack them, and it's the -4. That's the trap spot, and that's what this was. And look what happened: the underdog team wins. Andrews drops a touchdown. It wasn't just him too; they dropped 3 touchdowns that game.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was just, they should have won the game. They didn't in the end. Vegas sweeps up on this game because I think it was one of the most bet games. So we just move on and lick our wounds and get to the next one.
All right, well, let's get to the next game right now.
They're talking in the chat about the defense being overrated and Harbaugh on the hot seat. The defense.
Okay, first of all, Harbaugh's not on the hot seat. He's not on the hot seat. No, he's not. No.
The defense was just gassed at the end of the game, too. They're running that last drive, no timeouts. It's just play after play after play. Those guys were huffing and puffing when they finally got to the end zone. Then they pulled out the 2-point conversion on them. There was no chance they were stopping him on that last play.
Yeah. So, hey, it's a good one for Jacksonville, man. I think the NFL will be better if Trevor Lawrence ends up at least being good. we have too much bad quarterback play, right? I mean, you agree with that, title, right? I mean, the more good quarterbacks, the better it is for us.
I mean,
when it comes
he's
to Sunday.
good. I mean, he's good. Just if you watch and you know football, he's good. Like it's just give him a little more time, give him more weapons. The dude is definitely a good football player and a good quarterback. So
and I think that'll be good for the league. I hope that he does.
And that too, like you can't tell me every guy that scouted him from like 9th grade until he got to the NFL were wrong.
Dumb.
Yeah, we're completely wrong, or that they penciled this kid in as the best prospect in years, and now he just sucks. I'm not buying it.
Title, one thing we did at Run Pier, right? And I don't know if everybody did it, but I checked the cores, and I think only one person had it. And I watched the shows in the morning, and Big T and Hoop were pretty adamant. Hey, don't play Mike White. These numbers are based off last year, right? And it was Mike White's season there. What a great game. He's done this before, though, where he came in the first game and did well. But hey, just like the Heineke situation, right? It shows that this is not the NBA. You can't have a bad attitude and be talented and get away with it, right? In the NBA, right, they're put up with, and I won't name any specific players, but we know the guys that have the bad attitudes that the teammates don't like, that they give them the ball anyways because they understand, like, okay, you might be a jerk, but you're better than me. It doesn't work that way in the NFL. And we saw another example of it, I felt, this week. To be fair, it's the Bears defense, one of the worst defenses in the league, that he carved up. But still, he put up 31 against an offense that had 6 first downs the week before. And I understand the Patriots are much better than the Bears. They're much better. But regardless, he gave the team a spark. Garrett Wilson looked fantastic. The Mike White experience is here. You got to think they run him back. Zach Wilson seems to have lost his job. What are your thoughts, Title?
Yeah, I mean, this is crazy. So I've had a buddy. I have 2 buddies in a group chat. We've been buddies. We live in the same area. One has always loved Mike White. Ever since he came in, he's been a Mike White truther. And the other guy has loved Zach Wilson since college, since all of this. And the Mike White guy has been telling them for over a year, Mike White is better than Zach Wilson. What are they doing? What are they doing? And it finally came to fruition. And this has to be Mike White's team to lose. Like the team's identity. Look at their record right now. How have they won football games? Play good defense. Like, it's never been Zach Wilson bringing them to a promised land in any game. I mean, he's putting up 77 yards in some games. What? Mike White had that after the first drive? Yes, it's the Bears, blah, blah, blah. I mean, this game was in awful weather conditions in the rain. They jumped out hot. Like, the rain wasn't even doing anything to him. He had complete control of the offense. Michael Carter goes down. Of course, they still don't have Breece Hall. They're on their, 4-string running back that he's playing with. Makes Garrett Wilson look good. Elijah Moore is finally unleashed, and everyone's in the locker rooms. Free Elijah. Like, the team's coming together. It definitely has to be Mike White's team for the rest of the year. Eye test looked good to me. Zach Wilson has looked awful in the past. Just got to give a shout out to my buddy that's been on this Mike White train. But man, I mean, good for the Jets. And personally, how I look at this team is definitely a bump in my own power rankings. I don't make them like you guys and all this, but from how I looked at the Jets to how I do now, I'm not just overreacting, trying to overact in one game. Oh, this team's Super Bowl contenders, all this. But I definitely think there's an upgrade to Mike White. Puts the ball in his receivers when they're open. At the end of the day, that's all you really can ask for. So, yeah, I mean, I really like what I saw.
Yeah, I think Wilson has a lot more talent, but I think one thing that Mike White did was just make decisions early, right? Just go to his read, throw the ball, or get rid of it. Right?
Limit the negative plays, and that's how you have to. You have to do that in the NFL.
It was like 1-2 progressions, get the ball away. I love it. I can't wait to talk about that one.
Yeah, I mean, you need, at the end of the day, especially when you're a run-first team, a defensive team, you just have to limit the mistakes. You can't go 2nd and 20, 2nd and 8, something like that. Stay ahead of the sticks, and that's what he did.
All right, Tyler. Anything different there, or do you want to just move on? Because I felt.
No, I mean, I think he hit everything perfect. I think it is Mike White's team for the rest of the year. If he does start to stink it up, it's not going to be Wilson back in. I think they'll go to Flacco route. And I think next year, I think this team is going to be either in the mix for Rodgers if he doesn't retire, some Derek Carr, or they're going to be out for another vet quarterback that they can slide in and just play. Because I don't think they're going to wait around and look for a young guy to build with the way this team's built around him. You get a right quarterback in that system, they're Super Bowl contenders right off the bat.
Yeah, you have to agree. They've done a great job with that defense, so give credit to Robert Salah. Another great defense that fell short was the Tennessee Titans. The Cincinnati Bengals had too much there at the end. As they score to win 20-16. Derrick Henry, boy, fumbles in the end zone. Fortunately, Treylon Burks recovered it, but not the best game for the Titans. And even for Titans backers, as this game lands on 4, the spread was from 3 down to 1. Tennessee is one of the most popular dogs of the week, but they can't get it done. Title, your thoughts?
I didn't have too many thoughts. Cincinnati stopped the run. That's what you have to do against Tennessee. Make Tannehill beat you. Derrick Henry still was their leading receiver. I mean, it's tough. When you don't run the football well, 17 for 38 on the ground for Derrick Henry, but he's your leading receiver catching 3 passes. You're not going to win too many football games doing that. So big win for the Bengals, though. I mean, Jamar Chase coming back next week. He was practicing. They sat him out. They still get this win. They're 7-4. Mixon is battling stuff as well, the concussion. He didn't play in this one. So a beat-up Bengals team on the road going to 7-4 against the Titans. That's a big win for them. But this game wasn't really impressive to me on either side.
All right. What did you think, Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, it was played in a windstorm. I believe it were 30-mile-an-hour winds. So it was pretty impressive to see Burrow whip the ball around a little bit in the winds. The big thing for me, though, is this offensive line, similar to how the Chiefs were last year, it's finally starting to gel. Over the last couple of weeks, I mean, beginning of the year, Burrow was getting mauled by these defenses. He got sacked 1 time last game. So they were able to hold this Tennessee front 7 off, which is one of the better units in the league. And he was able to sit back there and throw the ball. I wasn't big on P. Ryan as a backup. I thought he was more of just a third down back, a little bit of a scat back and just catch some passes. The dude looks a lot better than I thought. He's actually running the ball pretty hard. So, I mean, if they get the duo running back going, get some of the usage off of Mixon to keep him healthy, Chase back, this team can make noise again in the playoffs. So I'm not writing them off one bit. That's why we kept them so high in the power ranking spread, for the reasons like this where we are right now.
Yeah, and we knew that with all those changes in the offensive line, it would take weeks before these teams, these guys got going. But obviously the potential was there to get there at the right time. The defensive coordinator just continues to do wonders there. You got to give him credit because I don't think they have the most talented defense. But I know the Titans are the best offense, but they held them to 16, and that's the way that it goes. So the Bengals win, the Bengals cover, the Bengals move on. Both teams are 7-4. Might meet again in the playoffs. Do we talk about the Broncos and Panthers? Nah. Dolphins, Texans.
I do have one thing from the Denver game. Please tell me you guys seen the nose tackle walking off the field, and Russ must have said something, and this 350-pound dude just gets right up in Russ's face, and he's screaming in it. And Russ
Are you serious? I did not see that.
Yeah, he just takes like one step back and just like gives him like the good old like shake the head, like, okay, buddy, like you were terrified when that big dude stepped up on you, like got screaming.
I mean, what could Russ say to anyone?
Then surprisingly, Russ went out and threw a touchdown on the next drive. It's like maybe these guys should scream at him a bit more.
Yeah, it was too little, too late, though. I mean, another terrible performance. You spend what do they spend? $40 million a year on their quarterback. They're getting 10 points a game.
They're screwed for the next 5 years.
Who's more screwed, the Panthers? I mean, the Broncos or the Cardinals?
The Broncos, because I think there's a way to make Kyler a good quarterback. I just don't think Cliff Kingsbury knows how to do it.
All right, that's fair. Would you agree, Title? You're down there. What are they saying in Arizona?
I don't listen to what they're saying. When you got D-Hop though, when D-Hop came back from the suspension and you add more weapons, I mean, it just shows how an elite receiver can change a quarterback. But yeah, definitely not anyone but Denver. I think Denver's in one of the worst situations in the coming years.
They don't even have draft picks to go get another quarterback. Even they're
screwed.
all in Seattle.
Yeah, and it just keeps getting worse and worse. Like they just lost to Sam Darnold. I mean, we don't need to talk about that one.
I know it seems like a meme they would put on Reddit. Tyler, talk to me about your concerns for the Dolphins. They got the win, and if you didn't watch the game, you see 30-15, whoop-de-doo. But it was a little different watching it. What did you see?
I just think that left tackle being out, it's going to be big because he's the key offensive lineman, and you've seen it. Once he went out, Tua was getting smashed. And when you play these better teams with these pass rushes, they're going to be all over him. Like, for instance, they play the Niners this week. If Armstead's out, I'm hammering the Niners. I just don't think Tua is going to have time to progress down the field to get these balls to the receivers. The running game's going to be dead. Mike McDaniel knows that system. He ran it for years with Kyle Shanahan. I think they smash them next week if that lineman's out. They need those offensive linemen to keep Tua standing to get these balls on the field to these fast receivers. The moment that time's up and these guys can't use their release to get away from these guys, it's over. That Miami offense is now very limited. So they need that offensive lineman big time.
I can't wait to talk about that game on Talking Touchdowns this week. Of course, that's on Friday, and we'll have Kurt on there. Title, do you have any takeaways, or you want to move to the next one?
What game was it even?
Dolphins, Texans.
Oh, I thought we already talked. No, I got nothing.
Okay, cool. Browns, Buccaneers. Browns get the win. The Buccaneers look like they were coming back.
I do want to talk one thing about the Dolphins game, one bet I made, and it almost ended drastically. I made it in the car on the way home from camp. Scrolling through the props, Kyle Allen's yards and completions are set at 230.5, 20.5. I was like, there's no way this dude's throwing the ball this much against the Dolphins. He ends the first half, 5 for 10 for 52 yards. He proceeds to go over every prop I bet the under on except for the yards and finishes with like 228 yards on 25 of 45 passing. I'm like, this is ridiculous. The Dolphins legit just sat back and were like, if you can catch us, you can catch us. Like, we're not playing anymore.
Yeah, yeah, Kyle Allen, boy, what a performance. So I don't think Davis Mills was the issue there. But is Tom Brady the issue in Tampa? Boy, the Browns get a great comeback win. It felt bleak for a while. It did look like the offense wasn't going to get done. Amari Cooper had a huge fourth down drop. Wow. That one was tough to watch, but he comes back, makes some key plays for the Browns towards the end of the game, and they get the win. Title, I think we do have to talk about this game now. The Browns are 4-7. The Buccaneers are 5-6, but the Browns are showing life, and of course they'll get Deshaun Watson. And the Buccaneers, man, we thought that they were just going to waltz into this NFC South title because the division was so bad. They just don't want it. They keep giving away their opportunities. What are your thoughts here on the Browns and the Buccaneers?
Father Time's undefeated. Clyde in chat saying TB12 is washed. Man, I mean, it's been a good run for a long time. But, yeah, he's still been getting the job. I've been saying this probably 2-3 years. Not that he was washed, but, man, Brady can't keep doing this. And he kind of kept proving me wrong. Completely jumped off the shit this year, and I saw the beginning of the year struggles, but I'm just not a believer in this team one bit. I don't think TB12 can get it done anymore. Defense isn't as elite as it once was. It's still a solid defense. I still think they're fine, but he needs, I think, an elite defense. He has Mike Evans, Godwin, Julio, so it's not like this team's not healthy anymore. It's just not the same offense. I don't think so. Yeah, I'm definitely concerned with Tampa. They get in because the division's so bad, which they still easily can. It's a team I'm going to be betting against. Hopefully, it's Brady. It's the playoffs. You get better numbers than the other teams. I'll be betting against them. I do know that. As far as the Browns, how far are they out in the wild card? I mean, 4-7 can't be really close. Do they have to win out?
Yeah, they'd have to win out and need a lot of luck in front of them.
Yeah,
because now it's KC's at the top at 9-2. Then the Dolphins 8-3, Titans 7-4, Ravens 7-4. The Bengals 3 wild cards are Bengals 7-4, Bills 8-3, Jets 7-4. With the Pats, the Chargers at 6-5 on the way looking in, the Colts 4-6-1, and then Browns, Raiders, Jags at 4-7. I think they would need to get a lot of luck to get in.
Yeah. Okay. So they're pretty much done. All right. Well, we won't have to talk about them the rest of the year. Hope you guys enjoyed our breakdown of the Cleveland Browns. We'll discuss them again next season. The Los Angeles Chargers.
Tyler didn't talk on that game. If he wants to touch on Tampa, though.
No, the only thing I got in that one is I don't think it's as much Brady as it is the offensive line. It's just absolutely terrible. They lost worse for the next couple weeks. So full fade this team from here on out. Under on Brady's props. His interception's over, definitely, because he's just going to be getting beat up. He's got to get rid of the ball even quicker now. And when Cleveland gives Nick Chubb 20-plus rushes, they're undefeated this season. Just feed your best player the ball, like Title always says. Quit trying to get fancy. I know it was Brissett's last game because Watson's coming back. He did look great. The team rallied around him. They gave him the game ball afterwards. But I swear, they were pass first on every drive that entire game until the end. And they were like, we just have to run it down their throat now. So they need to run the ball a bit more, even with Watson coming back.
The Chargers get the win against the Cardinals. I don't know what to make of this game. I don't rate the Cardinals that highly. You have to give the Chargers credit for escaping with the win. And it's one of those things where if this team stays around, they get healthy, they could be really a team that no one wants to play in the playoffs. Not necessarily that impressed, but they got it done. And once again, they're struggling with health. So Chargers improved to 6-5. Cardinals dropped to 4-8. Title, what are your thoughts on the Los Angeles Chargers?
Yeah, they got to get healthy, but they just can't stop the run. And at the end of the day, you're going to run into the poor matchup. team is going to run the football, and they're going to be fine running it over and over and over again. You guys have been talking about it for feels like over a year now, and nothing has changed. I mean, they're a pass funnel team. They'll let you run the football. They don't want you to pass it. Packers, we saw what happened last night. This team gets healthy, they can score with anyone, but man, can they put up enough points that they're in? And can they score in enough drives, because their defense isn't going to get ran on 9 minutes, 10-minute drives, and it's just going to absolutely ruin the momentum of a game. So I love the talent. I love the offense. They do have to get healthy. You have a chance, but yeah, I mean, I don't look at this team the same as I did last year or the beginning of this year.
All right. Let's talk about Tyler, Chargers. What are your
Skipping
thoughts?
over me every game.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
crazy.
sorry.
But,
I'm not 100% today. I realized I came down with something this weekend too.
Looking at this, I don't think the Chargers are a threat to do anything until next year when Sean Payton's the coach.
Yeah, good
I
point.
don't think Staley's good at all. I know we're all about these analytics nowadays, and he was supposed to be one of these better coaches. Even when you look at this division, I know we shit on McDaniels, we shit on Hackett. How much better is Staley than these guys?
He's worse.
I don't think he's all that much better, if not
He's
worse.
He's worse than your McDaniels that pitched it on 4th and inches or whatever.
He might not be.
I mean,
We'll
it's
get to
just
that
I think
game.
that group of three is just all tiered together. I think they're all just bad. Herbert's kind of dragging Staley along. Once Peyton's in there, it changes the offense a bit, lets him actually air that ball out and use
Super Bowl
arm.
champs,
Yeah,
Herbert MVP.
That's next
you
year.
name it.
If he's the coach, pencil in Herbert for MVP, most passing yards. That's the highest scoring team next year, and they'll be in the Super Bowl. So they're not anything until he's the coach. So that's my opinion.
Yeah, I might agree with you there. I don't even want to talk about the Cardinals. Let's talk about the Raiders, who got the win over the Seahawks, hurting their draft position. But I think this team needs it because, boy, with the expectations this year, it would have been a full rebuild. They probably had to get rid of Carr and Adams. Devontae Adams, once again, making ridiculous catches. He got the guy hanging on with one side, makes the one-handed catch. And then, of course, Josh Jacobs breaking the DFS slate. Tyler, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the big thought, though, was the 4th and 1 or whatever, the easy QB sneak, like the easiest QB sneak ever. They weren't even playing for it. And you pitch it.
It's not like Brady didn't do that like year after year after year
Do
either,
you
right?
think that had anything to do with the fact that Carr was on his hands and knees like 5 plays into the game, like half dead, and they had to like take him into the locker room?
Then give a
and shoot him up?
fullback dive right out. Like that was literally the worst play call of all time. The box wasn't even like, okay, I kind of get it if everyone is like playing for the QB sneak, 4 nose tackles are just bunched. It wasn't even the case. Like it was a free, I don't know. That was the big takeaway though when you brought up McDaniels. I mean, the Raiders win this game because of one man and Josh Jacobs. They could not stop the run. Get the ball. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. The run was not broke. Feed him. Dude just absolutely goes bananas. So yeah, it was a fun game.
Tyler, is the Geno Smith experience starting to wear off? This Seahawks team's now 6-5.
I don't think it's really starting to wear off as much as he was riding the motivation as if like they was written off. He played well for a while.
They put up 34 points. That comes down to your defense. You put up 34, you should win that football, right?
I agree. Yeah, they should win that game. But it's like when they go into the offseason, they have 2 first-round picks. When the draft rolls around, if some team's dangling a top 3 pickup there for a team that wants a quarterback, Bryce Young is from that Cali area where Pete Carroll had all his pipelines for USC. If there's anybody that can make a phone call and get the details on this kid, if he's actually legit and they want him, he's kind of like Russell Wilson too. If Pete Carroll wants something like that, this team could just be like, you know what? Take our 2 first, take a second. We're moving up to the top 3. Give us our quarterback. Because I don't think
Bryce Young
Smith
goes number 1.
I think he goes 1,
he's
2.
a Texan. He's a Texan.
I hope not, but I hope you're wrong.
Yeah.
But after what we've seen out of the Ohio State kid over the weekend, I mean, how do you take that guy first?
Yeah, we'll talk about that more as the season progresses. Tyler, do we even talk about the Chiefs and Rams? The Chiefs win, the Chiefs cover, the game goes under. All right, let's move on. Right, I mean, that game sucked. Niners beat the
Saints. Do we even talk about the next game?
I think we should. I mean, the Niners, once again, they get another win. Jimmy Garoppolo, what a great guy there. 222 yards, 1 TD. The team looked good, although they did suffer some injuries at running back. I think Elijah Mitchell left the game, and they had McCaffrey wasn't even playing. It was the guy like closing it out. I never even heard of him. I showed you how good their line is there. Yeah, see, fantasy players now, they got to know these guys. As bettors, we just go, okay, minus 0.5 points, move on. I don't know, but I was just joking around. We don't really need to talk about it either. The Saints really aren't that good.
I was kidding. It's your boy Jimmy G gets another win. But yeah, I mean, I'd be a little, as far as San Fran, it's a run first team. McCaffrey had the thing on his knee. He's dealing with something. Elijah Mitchell goes down. I mean, this team cannot turn into a pass first team that drops back 40 plus times. But
the thing is, they've shown that they could plug anyone there. I mean, Debo could go back if he needs.
It's all the scheme. Yeah, it's all the system. So they'll never be a.
They'll activate somebody off the practice squad. He'll show up and he'll run for $120 next week against Miami.
Yeah, if you're in the running backs don't matter camp, which this is the perfect team that you look at that good O-line, good system, but it's still if you're handing it to that quarterback to McCaffrey. I'd rather hand it to McCaffrey, but yeah.
There we go. So, well, yeah, the Niners got the win, and I thought, I mean, the Saints aren't good, but a shutout the NFL, you got to take notice of that. So other NFL teams have to be scared, and I think it's either the Niners or the Cowboys. The best chance to unseat the Sunday night winner, the Philadelphia Eagles, who moved to 10-1 with a nice win over the Packers. Rodgers looked pretty good. Title, this is your favorite team? I don't know. I was pretty tired and worn out by the time this game was on. I had eyes on it and I watched it, but it never really felt like the Packers were going to win. Felt like they might cover. They didn't. I don't know. What'd you think?
Yeah, no, same thoughts. They just couldn't stop the run. Like the offense looked fine. They're putting up points, but you never once felt like they were going to get a stop against the Eagles. And I mean, we've seen all the Packers have been so disappointing, have been bad all year. The Eagles, you're on the road. Like, I agree. It never felt like the Packers were going to win. It was nice to see them fight. And then Rodgers goes down. Jordan Love steps in. He played fine. He played solid. Watson got involved. I mean, if there's Packers fans, you ask like how the talk around Packers fans saw this, people were excited to see Love make steps and all that. I'm definitely not in that boat. I don't think he's the answer. Rodgers, I think he's retiring. If he doesn't retire, I definitely think he's gone. So I think it's going to be rough in Green Bay for a little while, but Eagles did what they had to do. They established a run early and they just kept running. That's what smart teams do. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Hurts what? He dropped back 28 times that game. Stat line 153 for 2, but that's all he had to do through the air. So yeah, Eagles did what they had to do.
All right, Tyler, your thoughts on the Eagles?
Yeah, Eagles definitely did what they had to do. Title hit the head on everything there. I got a question for him. Is Aaron Rodgers putting another Green Bay uniform on this year? Because I'm saying no. I think he's done. I think he's going to, whatever injury this is, I think he's just going to rat it out. The dude was walking into the locker room with no pads, no nothing on the top. He would have took the pads out of his pants if he could have before he got to the locker room. I think the dude is just done. I think that was it. I think he thought maybe I can rally this team and get him into the playoffs. I think that loss right there, he's like, I can't do it now. I'm done here.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised one. But who do they get? Who do they play next week? Anyone know off the top of their head?
Give me 1 second.
My thing was he probably looks at the standings. Does Green Bay have a chance? Next loss, I mean, they'd have to win out, I imagine, with the Packers.
They play the Bears next week, so they could win that game.
He might though to own it to make sure he can still own the Bears, right?
Yeah,
Bears,
if he loses the Bears, he might just quit.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, too, with the Packers. Like, yeah, I mean, Rodgers would probably be just fine hanging it up. You have Love. You want to see what you got. You aren't going to the playoffs. So, I mean, it could just be in the quarterback meeting and all this. Like, Rodgers would probably be the one, like, yeah, let's just – I mean, his motivation to play football is not where it once was. And this team is not. So, yeah, I don't know. If I had a gun to my head, if I had to say, was that the last time he puts on a Packer uniform and starts, probably would say no because I could – but because, I mean, his ribs looked fine, right?
Like, he looked fine walking to the locker room, but
yeah,
he just had he took everything off. He pulled AD. He just didn't want to.
Yeah, no, exactly. Which would mean maybe it's the Bears. You should win this game, and that's. But if he doesn't play next week, no, I don't. Why would he ever play?
If he's not against the Bears, he's done. Yeah. I think there might be a secret meeting too where they had before the season, where they were like, if this doesn't work and we get to this spot we are right now, you go sit down. Regain your health, get healthy for next season, and we'll trade you to whatever location you want. You pick it.
I mean, I hope I'll always be cheering for Rodgers. I think it's retirement. I think he's just done with the game of football. But man, if he went to his 49ers team or a team that's just that stacked.
Listen, there's been one coach that's been able to just give him troubles with the defense every time he plays them.
It's
Robert Saleh. And now
Robert
the
Saleh.
Jets are going to trade for him and say, come over here. Now you don't have to deal with the problem that's going to be always up your ass. So he'll be on your side. And he gets all the weapons. He gets Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, Corey Davis, Breece Hall returning, all the offensive linemen returning. In a run-first scheme, I could see him ending up a Jet similar to just how Favre did.
Another LaFleur, too.
Uncle T said what Packers will be favored in 4 of the last 5 games. I mean, if their schedule's that bad, and the thing is, even if they win out, like, are they even in? I mean, they probably
in the NFC they would be. AFC's hard. That's why that Cleveland, NFC's.
But even if they won, they'd have to knock out one of these NFC East teams, which I don't think they do.
I mean, if they win out,
fall off. The Giants could fall off and the Seahawks could fall off.
If they win, but that's the thing. If they win out, though, why would Rodgers not, like, if they can still make the playoffs and their schedule's this bad, like, that'd be a bad move not to, unless the Packers are saying, screw it, we ain't doing nothing. Let's get a better pick and see what we got in Love. But yeah, that's enough on the trash Green Bay Packers.
Let's talk about tonight. My favorite coach.
I got to touch on that. They're going to be favored in 4 of their last 5. They play Miami, Minnesota.
Lift up the schedule.
It's Chicago, Rams, Miami, Minnesota, and Detroit. There's no way they're favored in either the Minnesota or Miami game.
3 of the 5.
Yeah.
And I think Detroit's going to end up being a pick 'em at the end of the year.
Yeah. Well, easily, yeah.
All right. He says Minnesota's at home. That's why I thought they might be favored. Let's talk about tonight, though. The Steelers plus 2.5 taking on the Colts. Total of 39.5. Boy, they know these primetime unders are hitting because 39.5 is pretty low. Jeff Saturday almost got 2 wins in a row, but he fell short last week. Still, the team seems to be playing better under his leadership. I love the leadership of Mike Tomlin, but the team has no offensive line, and the defense other than TJ Watt has been suspect. Total here is 39.5. Tyler, we'll start with you. Are you fading the Yinzers?
I'm not right here, spread. Did you see that video I sent you the one day of when I was like the true definition of the Yinzer?
Yeah.
And he's talking, he's like, there's the moon landing, there's 9/11, there's the immaculate reception, and I grouped that right in there with that. And it's like, I guess I'm a Yinzer tonight because I'm betting Pittsburgh in this spot. When they have TJ Watt and that defense is healthy, they could just beat up on some of these teams. The only thing the Colts will be able to do is run the ball here, which could be enough. Jonathan Taylor could have himself a day, but they're going to sell out to stop the run. They have 2 receivers to cover in Alec Pierce and Michael Pittman. I think they can contain those guys, and Matt Ryan can't run away from this pass rush if they get to him. So I think they get to him. I also think Najee gets in the end zone. I was in the chat when the guys were on earlier, JSU and them. They were calling me crazy. I think tonight there is no Jaylen Warren. There is no backup for Najee, really. It's Benny Snell. I run better than Benny Snell in the NFL. He's got to score a touchdown tonight. He's plus 120 to score. I think they win the game. The anytime touchdown money line parlay is plus 280 on him. I'll be on that. I think he scores the first touchdown also up 6-1. I think it's a big Najee game. I will have a DFS lineup with him in the captain spot.
All right, Tyler, what do you think of that breakdown?
Yeah, I'm on the same page if you stop the run, Pittsburgh is going to feast. And with TJ Watt back, Matt Ryan cannot move. The dude literally runs backwards if someone's running at him. Like, this is the perfect spot. Prime time, Pittsburgh D just absolutely smashes. If you stop the run, you are going to be fine. Now, like Tyler said, and he knows his Pittsburgh team way more, can they stop the run is the question. I mean, they're going to stack the box, though. I definitely like this Pittsburgh side. We're going a little core all this. I'm definitely riding with Tyler. If he says it's Najee day, it's a Najee day. You're playing from ahead. I do like that. Looking at the defense pricing, man, give me these Steelers who I think are going to be low owned, 4.4K. I'll plug them in. You get a little correlation there. Najee, Pittsburgh. Who would my favorite Indy guy be is the question. Probably Pittman. He's expensive at 10 too. You know what? I'm not even going to I'm going to load up on Pittsburgh more than Indy. My last guy that I'll say in the core is Pat Freiermuth. I mean, Pickett likes him. I expect he can get double-digit targets, put up 8-9 catches, 70 yards, maybe fall in the box there. I like Pat Freiermuth. He's my favorite receiving option in Showdown, in considering ownership and all that as well. So get a little Najee captain, Pittsburgh D, Freiermuth, and you can figure out a lot of things after that.
All right. So, Tyler, why don't you give us those props one more time?
Yeah, it was Najee's anytime touchdown on FanDuel was plus 120. His first touchdown of the game is 6-1. I think Pittsburgh wins the game. So the anytime touchdown money line parlay of Najee to score and Pittsburgh to win is plus 280. I love all three of those.
All right. So good. You got, hey, it doesn't take me a lot to talk me into betting Mike Tomlin. I just placed that bet right now, and I'll be joining you on those props.
Before we
end,
I'm just grabbing this stat real quick. You can go to title. It was the stat when TJ Watt plays for Pittsburgh. They are 53, 23 and 2 straight up, and when he's out, they've lost almost every game.
Yeah, I think they only won one game with him out.
Yeah, here it is. When TJ Watt plays, the Steelers are 53, 25 and 2 straight up. They're 1-10 without him. So I mean, and with a quarterback back there that couldn't beat me in a foot race, I think we got to take Pittsburgh here.
Our guy, the Keg, likes the primetime unders, and that's another one.
Primetime unders. Yep.
Not hard to talk.
Steelers are winning this game like 24-7.
Yeah,
they're holding this team under 10 points.
Yeah, so great to see you in the chat, Keg. We'll have to reach out and figure out when Tyler and I can come live bet some NBA with you. Definitely looking forward to that. We've been doing double duty today, Tyler. If you missed it, we did the NBA rundown earlier. Make sure you check that one
Uncle
out.
T says Matt Ryan couldn't beat him in a foot race either.
I would pay to see that. We got to do that.
Definitely pay to see that.
We got to see that one going on. So there you have it. We like the Steelers money line. Tyler likes those Najee Harris props. And Title, give us the core one more time and then give us some words of wisdom before we sign off.
I mean, you got to ride with Tyler's captain, Najee. I like Pittsburgh D, a little correlation there, and I like Pat Freiermuth. So those are the 3 plays a day. I'm also doing double duty, NBA Hardwood Show, 4:45 Eastern. It's a Monday. 10 games, 12 games. It's a big slate nonetheless. 10 game slate.
So. Yeah, we were getting through it on the rundown, but it was kind of fun. It was different rather than everything being prepared today. We kind of talked our way through the games.
We just took it on the fly.
The way that you guys do on your show.
Winners.
And I think we still got the winners. So
yeah.
Looking forward to that one tonight. I'll be tuning in to see you. And of course, on the hardwood, we listen to that while I'm getting my sweat on there, sweating out some of all that food I ate this week, and appreciate everybody in the chat. So, Title, what other content are you doing this week?
NBA Hardwood Show Thursday and or Wednesday and Thursday as well. MMA's back this weekend, so always grinding MMA during the weekdays. NFL Thursdays. I got an NFL show tomorrow. We talk a little first look NFL as well. So I'm always over the Run Pure Sports channel at some point.
All right. Make sure you're subscribed. Give us that thumbs up and run pure.